Show me the meaning of feeling lonely. Ba-da-da, ba-da-da, da-da, Monday. Time after time, something. I don't even know if that's Backstreet Boys or NSYNC. That shit was all the rage. NSYNC, I'm not scared to admit it. NSYNC growing up, Backstreet Boys, they had me in my feelings. Why not? Everybody loves to hate on boy bands, but I had a tech vest. Not ashamed to admit it. Did me and my boys think about starting a boy band when we were kids? Yeah, we did. Did we try? Yeah, name was Smooth. Didn't launch, but we went for it, okay? We had a dream and we chased it down. Everybody wanted to be in a boy band during that time. Listen, if you were too young for the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC, then you just don't know what you missed, okay? There'll never be another boy band phenomenon, okay? It's kind of like TikTok in the sense of there will never be another TikTok. Just won't happen, okay? And you could be like, okay, well, TikTok is basically just Vine. But what I mean is this era of it's never going to happen again. And there was something about the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC, that whole era, that whole idea, everything they represented, it was appealing to young men at that time, okay? And I'm just keeping it 10 times 10 with an S on the end. Keep it hundreds around here, all right? I'm just keeping 100 with you. Shout out to Tom Segura, who actually got in a weird accident. Something happened. I don't know if it was basketball, but he was in the hospital, broken legs and everything. And you know what's crazy about the following that Tom Segura and Christina Pazinski have with Your Mom's House? They have a cult following in their with their comedy, their podcast. It is legit a cult. The mommies, they keep their jeans high and tight, and they have so many inside jokes with their community that even when Tom Segura gets in a brutal car accident, I don't know if it's a car accident, I just made that up. It looked brutal, okay? I'm pretty sure he broke a leg. He was in a hospital bed. They don't just give those things out right now. According to the CDC, we're at max capacity. He looked pretty comfy. It didn't look like a fucking triage that he was in. He seemed like he was in a very well air-conditioned heater room, maybe around 80 degrees. He looked like he'd been getting fluids. He looked good. He looked comfortable. Looked like the Hyatt or something. But even when he is in this terrible situation, if you read the comments on his page, they're all still inside jokes, just trying to get attraction from the king, his dominion that he has created. They just want to be like, they see a picture of him in a hospital bed and they're like, how do I make this funny using an inside joke? And I applaud it. I think it's great that they built up such a devout cult, okay? Because I don't think there's anybody in the comedy community. I don't think that anybody has bigger, more dedicated fans, okay? And I mean, I have people on board with chicken wings and hate for boneless wings. That's about it, okay? And pigeons. People like the pigeons and the chicken wings. I don't know, but listen, I go to the hospital. I post a picture. I better see some pigeon comments. Oh, you broke a wing. Get better soon. So we're going to eat chicken wings. I better see something like that, But shout out to Tom Segura. I hope you get healthy. He's an avid listener of the podcast. I actually was supposed to film some stuff for him, but he just never replied to the emails. We were getting pretty close to filming, and he ghosted me. So I don't want to say karma is a bitch, but you're probably filming something with someone else. Maybe if you had a professional on that field or court, you wouldn't have suffered these consequences. This is what happens when you go with the other person, okay? I'm sorry, we're coming in hot on a Monday. Listen, I'm in Ventura, California right now on Monday. It sounds like there's a goddamn tornado out there right now. I don't know if you pick up the wind going through this, but it's insanity outside right now. That is one thing I realize. We have gotten so soft. Do you realize that even I don't know how I'm gonna sound stupid if I throw out too recent of a time. If I'm like, did you know, like, think back in the 1900s before they had houses. But like, cave dwelling humans, how much tougher they are than us. I'll watch the show The Alaskans on Hulu. Shout out to Hulu. No one else is watching you. And I'm like, those people are so different than me. Listen, I fancy myself a tough person by this society's standards, only from a very narrow perspective, okay? Because if you start like comparing me to some people, some bush people out in Alaskans, not very tough. Might be the softest bushman there ever was. That's what life's all about, perspective, okay? That's why comparison is the thief of joy. You start comparing yourself to too broad of a net, you're going to have a bad time. You're going to get real depressed. Why? Because if you compare yourself to everybody else out in the world, there's always going to be someone better than you at everything, you know? That's just reality. And this is what I know. This is why I'm tying this into the weather. Because it is so cold outside right now. Keep in mind, it's California. And the wind is so atrocious where I'm like, sorry, Beowulf, you're not going for a walk today. Because I don't want to go outside. You want to know my kryptonite? Being cold. Okay? I don't fuck with it. All right? I've been on camping trips. Utah. Middle of the night, negative degrees in a tent. Fuck that. Don't want to do it. I fantasize about living off the land, going up to Alaska, building a log cabin. Fuck that. Don't want to be cold. I enjoy camping. Listen, I enjoy camping. But I have to be prepared. Some people like to eat fucking beans in a can and shit while they're camping, real roughing it. I gotta bring a grill. Okay? I need something with some propane. I'm making steaks. I'm making burgers. I'm trying to enjoy myself, okay? Not play Survivor Man, all right? I'm trying to unwind. I have bills. I have stress, all right? I don't need to be fucking whittling wood to start a fire. I'm going to use a fishing pole to catch fish. I have nothing to prove. That's a big thing for people. Some people go to wilderness to challenge themselves versus nature. I just go there unwind. I just want to be a nature calendar. I just want to be that place on people's desktop computer that they just look at and it looks relaxing. Some people go out there and they're just like, I'm going to live through the elements. And I'm like, no, man. No, don't. Unwind. Catch a fish or two. No need to be fucking Geronimo out here. Tracking rabbits and shit. I'm like, this is Thousand Trails. This is an established campground trailer park. Those are jackrabbits. They're not even native here. Fun fact about jackrabbits. Where I grew up, I must have killed me 1,000 of them. I'm not proud of it. We all have to accept our past, all right? I never said I was perfect. But apparently, I've never eaten one. Apparently, jackrabbit is delicious. It's a great food. And what happened was during the Great Depression, they ate a lot of jackrabbits because they were starving. And then once the Great Depression was kind of fizzling out, simmering out, if you will, they stopped eating jackrabbits and they never ate them again because it reminded them of the hardest time in their life. And there was almost like an embarrassing thing to eat. So we kind of just we stopped eating jackrabbits. We took them off the food pyramid, you know. They were just jacking up our diets. Bars. There was also the same thing. This is what is weird to me, is lobsters. Lobster used to be a shitty meal. You used to be able to go, I want to say it was in Boston, like when the Irish first were coming over on boats and they were treated terribly. You would go to a bar and you could get a bar meal. And it was something that was usually like a couple bucks and they would give you a potato, a piece of bread, and a lobster. And it was considered like the shittiest meal that you could get, just the baseline. And it was because they were just looked at as shitty food. And now people are fucking eating lobster in fucking 5-star hotels and shit. It just makes no goddamn sense. It's all perspective. Okay, that's how I'm tying this back into. It's all perspective. All right? That's what you need to know. Lobster's great though. It's a great tasting food. But you know what I think is also great? And that's the thing, is it's like we eat so much chicken that we almost frown upon it just because it's so plentiful, so bountiful. But I'll take, every now and then, I'll take some good smoked chicken, put it in the Traeger, have like a slow 4-hour cook. I'll take that over a nice steak some days a week, you know? I'll take that over lobster. I don't give a shit. It's just what we want, what's in scarcity. It's naturally in us, you know? This isn't any groundbreaking thing that I'm bringing up to you right now. But yeah, I can't do good in cold. I don't like it. I just don't like being cold. That's like my biggest kryptonite. I don't like being uncomfortably cold. Have a bad time. I can deal with it. I will if I have to, but nah. I just think about that, like when we compare ourselves to just these beasts from the past, the things that former man had to deal with that is just not in our zeitgeist anymore. It's just not in our world, the shit that they had to go through. Hunting every day. That's why you watch the Bush people, like The Last Alaskans. I think that's the name of the show on Hulu. Highly recommend it. You see the things that they have to go through on a daily basis just to eat. It's so rough. Like, they're such stronger people. They deal with so much more. And I know you're thinking, I could do that if I was out there. I don't know. You know? But what's crazy is they're also happier people. I think they're a lot happier than like modern man. This is something I wonder about a lot, is how overstimulated and overfed and over easy our lives are. Like with the internet, it's just so dangerous. Like, think about even, like, I look at it a lot with like younger people and porn even. And listen, I'm no angel. Take a look at me. I'm a man. But you look at like the stuff that's on the internet, even 25 years ago, when the internet really come out, it couldn't have been earlier than the 80s, right? And it definitely wasn't even what it is now in the 90s. I mean, it was starting to get there, I guess. But like, you look at someone from the 80s and you look at what they had access to, especially kids. Dude, the first adult content I ever saw was like finding a worn out old magazine like out in the desert somewhere. And it was just some weird, shit where I'm just like, oh my God. And it's like you can barely see the pictures and you're just like, that's a tit. It's for sure a tit right there. 2 of them. And it would just like, boom, like blow your brain. Like you're just like, this is insane. And you think about it for 3 years. And then you find another one out in the desert somewhere. And you think about that one for 4 years. But then you think about it now, like 10 years old finding that. Mind-blowing. And then you look at what 10-year-olds now can access. It doesn't even make sense. We're not supposed to be able to fathom that. Like, that's why I think even internet fame and everything. I look at stuff like that, like even with people who have like crazy internet fame, all of a sudden you have millions of eyeballs on you and millions of people saying they like you or millions of people saying they hate you. And it's like, we're not made to be able to handle that yet. We got some old hardware in our body. Our brain is old hardware. And we just put some crazy fast software on it that we're not equipped to handle yet. And that's why you see so many fucking people either be depressed, they just go fucking nuts, like their head just fries because you can't handle it. It's like one of those fucking old movies where the guy's just like, or I think it's Indiana Jones, where the guy's head just starts melting and he's like, blah, 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 blah. Terrible special effects. Not supposed to be able to handle that. A 10-year-old's not supposed to be able to use their smartphone and just be able to find 2,000 tits if they want. A 10-year-old could find 2,000 tits if they wanted on the internet today. Whatever kind of tit they wanted to see, they could find it. In any situation, any backdrop, no matter what, they could find it. All right? They can find it from every continent. And, I don't know how good that is for the brain. There's definitely going to be an effect of that. And I think we've already been seeing effects of that even in years to past, but I feel like it's only getting worse. I don't know even what the point of that was, but just that. People in the bush, the Alaskans, they just seem happier because life is so simple. I think sometimes we overcomplicate it with everything. We're just like, oh yeah, I want to do this, I want to do that, blah, 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 blah. And then it's just like, you're in such a weird toxic loop. That's the other thing I think about with the internet, is it's a toxic loop of feedback, but there's no real results. That's why I argue that stand-up comedy is still the best form of comedy and entertainment, because it's a physical experience. Like, I go do a show for, we'll say even 25 people, get some laughs and everything. It's an actual, you're getting feedback, you're getting something, fulfillment from it. But put out a video and it gets a lot of shares, gets a lot of likes, comments, people are laughing, crying emojis. It's like a feedback with no real feedback. It's a weird thing. It's like diet life. I use that expression a lot, I know. But it's just very interesting, Very interesting. We're very pensive on a Monday morning, all right? Very pensive. A lot of things going on. I feel like it's at a weird place in the world right now with these vaccines. And I saw something, I don't even know if this is true. I should Google it before I just start spouting off about it. That they were going to start offering $1,500 for the vaccine. If people, and it looks like this is $1,500 stimulus check proposed to get Americans to take the coronavirus vaccine. Okay, a former presidential candidate said paying skeptical people to get the COVID-19 vaccine would be an extra incentive to get the country back to normal. Which presidential? John Delaney. You know what's going to make me more skeptical? Is trying to pay me to do something that's supposed to be naturally just good for my health, right? Like, why would you need to pay me if it wasn't something I should be sketched out about? The fact that you're starting to offer that is, it makes me pretty sketched out about it. That's like if you were buying a house and someone was like, look, and if you buy it, we'll throw in a new car in the garage. Okay, well, why would you need to throw in a car if this house is worth what I'm willing to pay for it? I don't know what reason, man. We just know people are sketched out about buying this house. Well, now I am. I don't want to buy this fucking house. But it's also gross because if this was a real thing, and obviously it just sounds like it was mentioned by a former presidential candidate, why don't they just say it actually, I don't know who it says, who created this. But then it says also Obama, Bush, and Clinton volunteered to publicly get COVID-19 vaccine to show it's safe. Oh, okay, because we're not just going to be able to inject them with a B12 vitamin shot, right? We're going to definitely know that's the vaccine. Fuck out of here with that shit. That's like also the most patronizing thing. Like, you want to be condescending? Look it, I'm going to get the vaccine right here in front of you. It's on TV, and nothing's ever been faked on TV. Y'all fake the moon landing. You don't think you can fake a vaccine? You can have one of those pull-away needles where they like push into it and then just disappears. They're going to do that, and Obama's going to be like, American people, I feel much better. Doesn't make any sense. I was going to do a shitty Clinton impression, but fuck that. You don't deserve that. You guys deserve better than this shit I'm giving you right now. Yeah, I don't know. I've been talking about this more recently with friends, is that I don't know if I definitely don't want the vaccine. I would have to see the first wave go through and get it, because I was seeing that it was positive in 85% of the candidates that were taking it. There was no side effects. You're telling me 15% of people were having side effects. That's a pretty big number. 85%, it's not very good for a vaccine. And there's a lot of confusion that they're actually going to inject COVID-19 into them. It's not the case. So you're never going to have an active case of COVID from getting the vaccine. It's not how it works. But I think the idea of pay people $1,500 to take the vaccine, people will do it, but I feel like it's also disrespectful. And it's kind of gross, because I follow all the stimulus talk and everything and different things that they're going to put money towards. And the fact that they've been holding up the stimulus so much, putting people in more of a terrible situation with losing their homes and their apartments and everything, and then you're going to get them in this vulnerable position, and the only way out is incentivizing them to take a vaccine. It feels pretty gross, you know? Not too stoked on that. You know what I am stoked on? Segue. There was a monolith found in California. Have you guys seen this? I'm sure you have. It definitely has to be a prank. It has to be a prank. These monoliths, these big like metal statues, are just being found all over the world. I'm ready for aliens. I'm fucking ready. Looks like there's some found in Romania, Utah, California. Someone fucked up, said it was found in Puerto Rico, and it was just like a fucking tin roof cover. Bastards. But honestly, I'm ready for aliens. I'm ready for something to come in that's smarter than us and go, we're going to fix this. Fix it. Do whatever you got to do, okay? Just keep us going. Get rid of TikTok. I feel like that's the first thing aliens are going to do. This is no point to this. This will just set the bar lower for the next generation. You know what? Thinking about the past generations, though, they had some stupid dance doing the twist and shit. I'm doing the twist. And they would just fucking do their foot. White people. Can't be too hard on these TikTok kids. It is what it is. But I'm ready for aliens. I feel like we need a cleansing. I sound like fucking, I'm not even going to say his name. But I feel like we need something to fix this shit. I feel like aliens should step in and just deal with the politics. I'm like, wait, you guys, but they got to be aliens without dicks. They can't be power hungry aliens with dicks. Because I feel like whenever you add those two things, you got a dick, you're power hungry. If you have any kind of sexual reproduction parts, that's how I feel. You're going to fuck shit up. You can't be trusted, okay? That's like my whole thing. If you want power, you shouldn't have power. You should give power to the people who don't really want to do that job, who aren't like lusting for it. I had a friend I was getting into a business with, and at one point while we were talking, I was, talking about the opportunity and like things that it could lead to and a certain thing, and he goes, isn't the power intoxicating? Red flag. Red flag. I was like, the power, huh? Yeah, like, isn't it addicting? I literally couldn't even answer them. After that day, I decided not to do a business with that man. Because I could tell it was gonna lead to a bad place. Because that's the kind of person who gets weird blowjobs from strippers and like degrades them and shit. Not okay with that. It's not a good look. Didn't want my name on the same business plaque. You know what I'm saying? But if we could get aliens in here that were just super smart, little green men, big heads, just take over politics. Okay, we obviously can't govern ourselves. It's like we need a government, and then we need a government that governs the government. Bars. Not making sense? Bars. Because if you really think about it, we don't have time. Like, we appoint people to be in the government to govern the people, but nobody regulates them. Like, they just kind of, and it's because everybody else that were like, hey, you govern the people and kind of deal with this government shit, which government should be much smaller than it is. Like, it shouldn't be this over intoxicating power. Intoxicating, I just use that word because I just brought it up. It shouldn't be like this over controlling thing. We have way too much government reach. And when we appoint people to govern, everybody else is busy. That's why some people, they're not even into politics because they got so much shit going on, because they're like, hey, I'm trying to live my life. I'm trying to provide for my family. I have kids. I have this job. Where do I have this free time to be so involved and checking in on other people doing their job? Like, I feel like everybody in politics one day was just like, even though they were like working and people trying to keep their integrity because someone's watching, like, oh, blah, blah, blah. You know, you got the House, the Senate, Democrats, Republicans, everybody's just like, okay. And then wait, they all just stop and look, they go, wait. There's no security here. Wait, we can all just, it's just us here, guys. We can just all work together. No one's even watching. And they're like, yeah. Apparently like a beatnik. Yeah, you're right. Why are we fighting amongst ourselves? There's enough pie for all of us. We just don't give any crumbs to the people. And they're like, yeah, that's what we'll do. Don't know where that impression came from. But that's how I feel government is there's no one really governing them or keeping an eye on them. And then everything they just blame on the other people. And they're like, I don't know what's holding them up. You got to go talk to them. But yeah, we need some aliens to step in. I'm ready for it. I'm fucking ready for it. 2020 has been such a weird year. Everybody keeps talking about that, but it really is such a wild year. Every now and then I just kind of stop and I'm like, we're in the middle of a fucking pandemic. I'm in fucking Vaughn's right now with a mask on. I can't see anybody's face. This is weird. And then you watch videos or movies from before the pandemic, and you see people in stores and shit without masks on. You're like, oh, that's weird. But it's like, no, we're the weird ones right now. So wild. Another weird thing that happened, we'll end on this topic. Floyd Mayweather is boxing Logan Paul. Listen, some people are hating on this. For the purity of the sport. Listen, this isn't someone getting a shot at the champion that doesn't deserve it. This isn't someone who's leapfrogging all this, That's the thing about fighting is we have the UFC. We have these, boxing organizations that you have to earn your way to the title. There's never going to be this kind of shenanigans in the UFC. They've tried to do certain things in the past. They had the boxer who came in and fought Randy Couture. I can picture him. It was a great boxer. Fuck. Who was it? I got to find the name for you real quick. Randy Couture versus boxer. What was his name? James Toney. Went to the UFC. Dana White approved it, and he said, okay. And James Toney got taken down instantly. Randy Couture destroyed him. Another one was that wrestler, CM Punk, came in, didn't do too hot. It was kind of a novelty thing. And that's the thing is I think we have to remember this is entertainment. These sports are sports entertainment. This isn't the Olympics. They're not taking something from someone else. If anything, it's sparking eyes on the sport. And I said it before with one of the podcasts I talked about Jake Paul. I didn't like the way the internet handled that Nate Robinson loss, but I don't necessarily think it's bad for the sport. And I don't think Jake Paul and Logan Paul are terrible for the sport in the sense of bringing eyeballs to it. And obviously Mayweather, the greatest boxer of all time, if people are willing to watch it and it gets buys, That's all that matters. Okay? This is the thing when it comes to sports. That's why when people have the argument of the NBA versus the WNBA, people are like, well, why don't the women make the same amount as the men? And it literally just comes down to, this is the amount of sales and tickets and viewers that the NBA has, and this is what the WNBA has. It's a direct correlation with what kind of profit it brings in. Same thing with this. You can't knock something for being a spectacle or an exhibition if it's making money and it's doing a good thing for the sport and it's making opportunities. Listen, a lot of people don't want it to happen because they don't want change and they don't want to see people being put in this position that they don't think deserve it. I think Logan Paul, just from his training videos and how he's taking it, he looks great. And he looks like he's taking boxing serious. But if I had to break it down, really, and it's a special exhibition, I don't know if there's going to be the kind of rules that like the Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. had, where there's no knockdowns allowed, there's no cuts and blah, blah, blah. I don't see that happening. I don't see these two fighters agreeing to something like that. I think it's a little too competitive. I think we're going to see a little more along the lines of Mayweather versus Conor McGregor. But this is going to be nuts. This is going to be a completely one-sided fight. Granted, there is a chance that Logan Paul could hit him and knock him out based solely on size and power and athleticism. But when we're talking about Floyd motherfucking Mayweather, someone that was so hard to hit, even for professional boxers, the greatest professional boxers of all time, Shane Mosley, who did catch him, but couldn't take him down. And then we have Manny Pacquiao. We have Marquez. We have Miguel Cotto, Boricua. There's so many, the list, who's the other guy I was thinking of? Anyway, he dressed in drag, bars. The chances of that happening are slim to none. This is going to be such a one-sided fight, and it's going to be great to watch. And here's the thing. Something sick in me wants to see it. Something sick in me wants to see it. I want this to happen, okay? I think it's going to be great for boxing. And just for... this article says, Mayweather is undefeated champion with a 50-0 record, multiple world titles in 5 weight classes, and an Olympic bronze medal. Paul is best known for his controversial YouTube video when he filmed a dead body in a Japanese forest. This is definitely a shitty reporter. Come on, man. Come on. Let's see. It looks like 24. Okay, so it's going to be $24.99. For the people who apply to be the first $1 million pay-per-view sales. Wow, they're okay. Yeah, and then goes all the way up to $70. That's crazy. I hear the Roy Jones Jr. Mike Tyson fight was off the chain in the sense of pay-per-view buys. I wonder if that's released yet. Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. I don't even know if that's out yet. Holy shit. 1.6 million. That is pretty insane. That means, wow. It says it's going to be even more than that. Wow. This is pretty insane. To give that some perspective, the biggest boxing pay-per-view in recent times was Canelo Alvarez versus Golovkin, and that was 1.3 million. So this did 1.6. That is pretty insane. The only other fights that went above that were 1.9 million was Holyfield with his rematch against Mike Tyson. That is pretty nuts. And obviously before that, looks like the highest selling one was Manny Pacquiao versus Mayweather with 4.6 million. Wow. Conor McGregor versus Mayweather did 4.3. That's pretty huge. But honestly, 1.6 million for Roy Jones Jr. versus Mike Tyson. The fact that they can find ways to do this, to get that many buys, it's pretty insane. That's pretty awesome for Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. Very happy for him. I had no idea it was that much. But all right, ladies and gentlemen, I love you guys so much. I hope you're having a great week. Shit gets weird during the holidays, so I hope you guys remember to tell people you love them, and just live your life. Don't take it so serious, all right? Sometimes you get caught in these rabbit holes where you're getting too hyper-focused on something. You got tunnel vision on a problem that you don't need to be giving attention to. Sometimes, here's a freebie for you guys for sticking around in this episode. You got to look at shit and you got to go, is this going to bug me in 2 months? Is this going to bug me in 5 months? If this problem going to bug me in 5 years? And if the answer's no, take it easy, baby. It ain't worth your time. Focus on something else. Flip your day around. Make it something positive. And remember, no matter what, I still love you.